Hey guys, welcome back, and to our new listeners, welcome.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome. I don't know why I did that. Oh well. Anyways, we don't have too much to report podcast wise. We have no new listeners we have new listeners probably. We just don't have any new countries or states. And then state-wise, California is leading the most downloads, kicking Georgia's butt.
Yeah, well,
Jacob, sucker.
We're not about that fast podcast life. We're out being lemonade sipping, porch sitting, ain't no podcast.
You know what? That's what
listening.
I always think of too. When I think of when I'm like, oh yeah, the city life is like so much faster. You're always doing stuff, and then you have Georgia that is sitting on the porch sipping their lemonade. I say that. I say tea. I think I say tea though.
Southern Sweet Tea. It's SWATETAY. Sweet Tea.
Which is cold and has sugar in it.
A lot of it. Way too much.
Yeah, because apparently if you go up north and ask for sweet tea, you'll get sweet tea, I think, but it'll be hot. And then here, if you ask for tea, a lot of times it's not sweet.
They won't even give you hot sweet tea. They'll be like, what? Be like, we have iced tea and we have sugar. It's just not a thing. Because tea is supposed to be about health, and the embodiment of enjoying the earth or whatever. And then you go and just douse it with sugar, which is like a chemical that kills you. It's too much. And we lost half our listeners. Don't tell me how to drink. No, I'm just teasing. Drink what you want. We're all gonna die one day.
See, I like my tea sweet, and I also like my lemonade really sweet as well.
I try and usually I'll do like 1/4 sweet tea and 3/4 unsweet tea.
That's what my grandpa was saying. He drinks unsweetened tea now, but he said before when you're trying get used to not drinking sweet tea, to do that, where you drink half sweet tea and half unsweetened tea, and then gradually move to the point where you're only drinking unsweetened tea. Wane yourself off.
Yeah, pretty much. And it might sound terrible, but you very rapidly get to the point where you taste regular sweet tea and you can't even believe how sticky it is, and you're just like, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness gracious. Sometimes this is all going to be outtakes basically. When I was serving, we'd have to there's some people that drink sweet tea and you have to almost bring a pitcher to them because they're just going to guzzle it down. And you're like, best of luck. Best of luck to your, I don't even know what's sugar. I guess your
diabetes.
Yeah, best of luck to your insulin pump. Well, sorry. And we've alienated another group.
You're always alienating groups.
I know.
No wonder we don't have any YouTube video viewers.
These are not the views and opinions of Don't You Know, just one or both of the hosts.
Most of the time it's just the one host.
Yeah, one or the other. What if we balance each other out?
With my California lifestyle, we accept all, and Georgia Southern Alps, they don't accept anyone.
Yeah, right. That's funny.
Which is funny because I think I'm more conservative than you are.
Yeah, I think I'm a lot more moderate. I think that both sides have valid points, and we need to compromise in order to get to the best decision. And sadly, there are some and many issues that doesn't really work, and you just need to kill one or the other. Sorry, send him to the moon. I used that today in work, in a work conversation. Yeah.
And they didn't laugh though.
No, they didn't know what I was talking about.
And then we're still waiting on Jacob to do his part on his special project.
Yeah, Jacob's been busy. He's been living life, and working. Work hard, play hard.
But you haven't been playing.
Sorta. A little bit.
Once you start editing that stuff out, that'll save up some room on your computer.
Yeah, I need to.
So you should do that.
Sure. Definitely.
And we would need to record another episode, too.
I've been living offline recently. Your boy's been tearing up the dating scene.
Oh.
So, yeah, I don't want to kiss and tell, but haha. Anyway, moving on swiftly and directly.
Oh, and? Well, for me, I have didn't have much going on this week. Monday, apparently was Challenge Raquel's Phobia Day, though.
Oh, was it? I could do that. I literally have a picture of a spider pasted into my clipboard right now. You can see me typing. That's literally not a spider. Never mind. I lost it.
Huh. No, it wasn't this Monday. It was last Monday.
Okay.
So what happened was I went to work.
I'm scared of work too.
I know. I had to just defeat that challenge first. And there was a cockroach.
Oh, a cockroach. The old
I had to
three
kill
syllables.
the cockroach.
The 3 syllables.
Because there was no one else there. Oh.
It was 1v1. You had to handle it.
Yeah.
You had to woman up and grab the shoe, huh? How'd you do it? Don't tell me
The
you used
shoe.
a bunch of raid. Okay.
It was the shoe. At first, I lost it. I couldn't find it. And then I saw it again, and luckily it was on the ground this time, because I couldn't get it, because it was kind of like behind the desk somewhat. It was like with all the cords, and so
yeah,
I'm trying
really good at that.
yeah. So I took my shoe off and was trying to use my hand inside my shoe and kind of push and but it was going between the cords, so the cords are getting in the way, so you can't properly squish it. And then I lost it, and then I saw, and I don't know if I'm hoping it's the same one. My mind is, at least I'm not accepting any other possibility. It was the same one.
It was probably the same one.
And it was on the ground, and I stomped on it. I was like, oh!
Nice, congrats. +1, your KD just went up a little bit.
So.
How big was it?
It was a huge one.
A huge
It was
one. She looks at her arm as if to look at her arm for measurement.
I was like, let's see here, a whole hand? No, I'm just kidding. Probably maybe my pointer finger size.
Oh, that's a pretty big one.
Well, my finger's also a lot smaller than yours, so I would say half your pointer finger size.
Yeah, I was already taking that into account. I was just going from here to here.
Okay. And so, I mean, honestly, it could have been a different one, because I think that one actually looked smaller than the other one. But I'm going to say it was the same one.
You killed his wife, and now he's definitely going to crawl on your face while you sleep.
Well, he's not at my house. He was at work, so.
Oh, my bad.
And then I'm going to have all this background noise, sorry, because they're doing construction.
That's
You weren't here earlier, Jacob.
Well, this is a constructive podcast.
So then when I got home to my car, well, not got home, but when I got off the bus to go to my car, I was driving, and there was a spider on my windshield on the inside. So I had to kill the spider.
Oh, man. Brutal.
So, cockroaches and spiders, man, those are, my two big things that I just, The other day we were outside, and there was, these giant spiders, and I was like, nope, and I walked away.
Spiders are your friends, though, and spiders eat roaches, so you should just be friends with them, and then that will eliminate 2 of your phobias.
Obviously, they weren't doing their jobs at my work, because there was cockroaches.
Man, I was out on the porch the other day, and I saw this tiny spider, the size of my thumbnail, and he had one of those big old roaches hanging from his web, and I was like, dang, that was a feast.
Someone going to eat.
I know, right? That was crazy. I was very impressed. I've never seen that before. I was like, surely they can kill him, but yeah, they killed him. That thing's got more killer venom than I realized. That's pretty impressive.
They wrap it up and they inject their venom or whatever, and it turns them into slush. No, inside the cocoons?
Basically, it's
basically they make a smoothie.
Yeah, most spider venom is a concoction of adrenaline and digestive fluids, and some sort of paralysis thing too. But yeah, it goes to the heart and it makes the heart pump up and distribute the venom, and then it turns into digestion fluid. They just slurp it out. It's pretty metal. And there goes another listening base.
No, we can't handle the spiders. Don't worry, we're not going to talk about spiders again now. Well, I don't know. Jacob tends to like to bring spiders up.
I do like spiders.
To cringe.
I really like spiders.
And really, that's all that happened with me. I didn't do too much. I didn't go to the movies this week.
I did.
Oh.
I went to see I almost said scary spiders. Scary stories to tell in the dark. Yeah, that's it. It's not to read in the dark. It's not to see in the dark, although we did see it in the dark.
I told you it was good, wasn't it?
It was very good. I liked it.
Told ya.
Yeah, the plot was pretty. The plot was, it's pretty good if you just. I don't really believe in ghosts, but I'll go along with it. But no, it was pretty fun. I thought the acting was very good. They just seemed to be doing a good job. I thought the suspense was really nice. There's a couple jump scares, which I'm not a big fan of, because, your little sister can jump out at you and you'll still spook a little.
Most of them are in the beginning, though, too.
Yeah.
I like how they did the beginning, where it was, the jump scares but then also had a lot of comedy. So it kept you entertained, basically, while they were setting the scene. And then it got suspenseful.
Yeah, but I think that a lot of the spookums was because of, like, the slow, surmounting, creeping terror. You know what I mean? Like, no spoilers. I'm just gonna say The Red Room was really good. I think that was a great...
Oh, yeah. That's a good twist that they had on it.
Yeah, for sure. Now you've told them there's a twist. They're going to be expecting a twist.
Yeah, but they're still not going to be able to expect that twist.
That was pretty cool. It's good. I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
They try to... You could tell that they try to stay away from a lot of the cliches, too.
Yeah, that is good. Because I think that well, it has been so long since I've read these books. I'm not actually going to comment on the books. But... Yeah, I don't
know what books you're talking about.
This whole... It's all based on books. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was a book series from, like, when we were in, like, elementary school.
Oh. I didn't read.
And they were, like, really, really gruesome, too. Like, they were... like I said, I don't remember them too well. Hang on, I'm pulling them up. These books here were the ones that it was. You can tell by, like, the cover art. Like, they're drawn all really spooky and stuff. And, yeah, they were pretty intense. And I remember reading them and being like, I probably shouldn't be, like, reading too many of these. Like, I was real young. It was, like, kindergarten, first grade. They were just in the library. And we kind of go, hey, look at these books. And we go find them and whatever. But, they were pretty spooky. It was like, they were, like, so spooky they kind of felt wrong to read. It was always, like, that kind of spooky. But I don't remember that being, like inappropriate or anything. They're just...
Yeah, you know, as a kid, I guess it just depends on your discipline level. Because, like, as a kid, there's a lot of stuff that, like, you would, like, read or watch or something like that, and you think that you probably shouldn't read or watch, and you get in trouble if you got caught. But now that you're older, you're like, why was I afraid? Like, that was totally, like, okay to watch or whatever.
Well, yeah, it's the innocence of youth, you know?
Like, when I was younger, I used to watch, Inuyasha. I used to, like, get up, like, really... Because it was on Adult Swim. So I used to get up... I used to think Adult Swim you couldn't watch. Like, that was not allowed. Like, that was for adults only.
Yeah, they are definitely for adults. Like, kids are not supposed to be watching Adult Swim.
I was more, like, middle school-ish. Like, I wasn't, like, elementary kid.
Yeah, middle school's a little different. Middle school's kind of... You're all little brats anyway, so... just might as well just ruin yourself. Go do drugs and drink a bunch of alcohol and just don't make it to high school. Screw y'all. And the middle schoolers have stopped listening.
No, please. They weren't listening to begin with. These old people don't know anything.
We just got an influx of middle school teachers who are like, oh, thank goodness. Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
What show was it you said you were watching? The audio cut out.
Inuyasha.
Inuyasha, okay. I've never really watched that.
So, it's anime, and so anime, of course, does have lots of those little moments where it's inappropriate, because it's got, like, that, like, kind of, like, sexual innuendo and all that stuff in it.
Yeah.
And so because it had those parts, I was like, oh, I'm not supposed to be able to watch this, I don't think. But I used to get up at, like, really early to watch it anyways, because I really enjoyed the show. Because it was about, like, I actually got my brother to finally watch it, because he always thought it was, like, a chick flick kind of show. And I finally got him to watch it, and he was like, you know what, the show is really good. It actually had, like, a lot of action in it.
Nice. I don't know anything about it. I recognized the art when I pulled it up. I was pretty sure I knew the name, but I don't know anything about it.
It's about a half-demon and a girl who goes back to the feudal era, where the half-demon is. And she's the only one, him and her are the only ones that can go back and forth. And so she has to help him fight demon and collect this, pieces of a jewel shard, because she was part of the reason why it broke. So it's her responsibility, because she's a reincarnation of a previous priest. And so that's why she had the jewel shard.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
It came from being reincarnated, and it's really good. It does have a lot of romantic kind of stuff in it, but it also has a lot of action. I would say it's a good blend of both.
Nice.
The only thing I've seen is me and my brother have been watching Titans every Friday, but there's not really much to say about that. It's really good still. I'm enjoying the new characters they're bringing in, though they've only really brought in one. I'm kind of waiting for Crypto to come in, because they showed him in the trailer, and they've already pretty much upset that he's coming in. They're also going to have Superboy as well, but I'm more excited for Crypto because I like the dog. I always liked Crypto. What I've been watching, though, is called The Worst Witch or something like that. It's on Netflix. And I don't know why I watch it, because you could tell, like, it's nothing but these little girls, and you can tell, like, they've never acted before. was like that bad of acting.
Oh, I see.
They try so hard though, but like the acting's so bad. But you know the adults aren't very great actors in the show either. It's like a UK show, I think, because they all have accents.
Okay.
So I've been watching that, and it's like 3 seasons on Netflix, so I'm like on the 3rd season. So even though the acting's not the greatest, I don't know, I just find it interesting. But it's one of those kind of cliche story plots too, where like the good always wins kind of thing. I don't know, I still
It's got
watch
heart.
it.
Something about it captivates you.
Yeah, I don't know what captivates me. I don't know if it's like, because even like the magic that they have in it, the special effects on it are like not really great. It's like almost like a low budget kind of TV show.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I like it because it's almost like, because it's called The Worst Witch, because this one girl is like, didn't know she was a witch until she was like middle school age. And,
I mean, Harry Potter did that, and he was not the worst.
you admit Harry Potter, like the very first, like the first movie, they weren't the greatest of actors either.
Oh, I was talking about as a wizard, not as an actor.
Oh yeah, but yeah, it is kind of like that
Daniel
where Harry
now
did.
Daniel Radcliffe has stopped listening.
But yeah, it's kind of like that where Harry Potter, like, he didn't really know anything about the wizarding world. And so he gets into all types of, like, mischief, because he doesn't, well, mischief makes it seem like he was purposely trying to get into trouble, but, like, just stuff happened because he's not aware.
Happen.
Yeah, because he's not aware of a lot of stuff. So it's the same way with the show where, like, you know, there's a lot of stuff she's just not aware of. And so it's, like, causing her to get into all types of trouble. And then on top of that, she's not, like, Harry was, like, basically almost like a prodigy. Like, he got stuff kind of quickly. She does not.
She's not as quick of a learner.
Yeah, like, she tries so hard and she's got, you know, good intentions, but she, unfortunately does not have the talent to back that up, really.
Oh, darn. And more shenanigans happen.
So, yeah, exactly. But because of her intentions are always good, things tend to work out. And since she's not, like, grew up as a witch, there's a lot of times where she can, like, think outside the box, because everyone else is so structured and set in a way. She can think outside of it, so it gets them out of trouble a lot of times.
I see. How intense is the show? Like, do people, like, die, or is it all kind of more lighthearted, silly stuff?
More lighthearted, and I don't think anyone has died in it. Like, even these people that you're kind of like, oh my god. Like, it's like, they have one person who keeps coming back, and they keep, like, trying to take over the school or destroy the school or whatever. And they keep coming back, and it's just kind of like, why don't you, like, they catch her every single time. It's just like, why don't you just, like, do away with her or something, like.
We've given you enough chance, we're gonna magically send you to the moon.
Because, like, what they've done, like, they even took her power away. I think they took her power away twice, and she still, like, came back multiple times.
It's determined.
Like, they even, like, trapped her in a painting, and she still came back and caused problems. So this season, actually, I don't think she has been involved at all in this 3rd season, though.
Couldn't tell you.
So what else has been going on with you? Is there anything else you want to talk about, or do you want to go right into our topic?
Just working. Working a lot. I can't really go into details about work due to legal and
classified.
Classified, yeah. But I'm working. That's what I'll say.
That's how my work is all the time. I'm not allowed to say too much what goes on in my work either.
I can't complain too much.
Okay. So, shall we go into our topic then?
I guess we shall. Yeah. I think I'm
awesome.
We're all home and relaxed in our nice houses that we rent and or own, and with our roommates in the other rooms that we may or may not have. And I think it's the perfect setting for us to talk about today's topic. Do you like that segue?
Yeah, it's good enough. Kind of like your ending from the last episode. It's good enough.
Good enough.
So our topic's roommates. Before we get into roommates, though, I just remembered, you know what? It's almost October. I can't wait for when we do our Halloween episode, because I love Halloween stuff.
We're going to have to dress up.
You dress up and take pictures and post as our album thing?
Oh, I was just making a joke about how they can't see us in a podcast. But yeah, I guess we will have to take pictures too.
I know, that's why I figured you were trying to make a joke, but I decided that was a lame joke.
You just decided that this is your show, and there's no way the co-host is going to be funnier than you. I get it. It's cool. Let's just go on. I ain't even mad. I'd do the same thing.
I don't have to worry about you being funnier than me because I know you ain't.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people like me more because I don't isolate them with all their insults on their certain groups.
Mm-hmm. Are you done?
Okay, roommates.
Roommates. Our best friends. Sometimes two best.
I realized, as I was looking for articles about roommates, that I guess one of our discussion topics should be, what do we consider a roommate? Because some of the articles were pulling up, like I saw one article about roommates in regards to when you are at a hospital and you're staying in a room, and then you have the other person in the room with you. So you may not be in the room for like days, but you might be in the room for the one day, and so then you have the other person that's in the room for the one day too, or whatever. And they were considering that roommates.
I guess it would, but I have no experience with that, and I don't have any intention on talking about that. I guess we could talk about short-term roommates in different situations, but...
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was just saying, like, what do we, like, see, would you consider that roommate? Because, I mean, you also have the options where, say, you and your friends go on a, like, big trip. Like, me and you, when you came here, and you stayed, we had the Airbnb, and you stayed with me and my brothers.
Yeah.
Would we have been technically roommates then?
Yeah, definitely.
But even though it was
but only temporarily. I don't know. For
so
me,
basically,
I'm thinking,
in sharing any type of living space, even if it's a short period, would be considered a roommate.
if you go to sleep somewhere and somebody could like enter your room and poke you in the face while you're sleeping, they're a housemate or a roommate. if they don't have to open a door, I mean, I guess they have to be in the same building. I think that's, well, I don't count hotels. You know, I don't know. I think it's kind of obvious. They gotta live in a house, like, or a dorm. I definitely count dorms. But let's say longer than one night, because I don't think that if you like sleep on a plane, that those are your roommates. I don't think that counts. But like, if you're in
like a living space where you shower and eat food and such like that.
Yeah, if you're living with somebody, if you're just like visiting, like there's a difference between like being somewhere with somebody.
Well, you were still visiting us.
Yeah, you can visit, but
so
I mean
still
like,
count.
I don't mean like you might eat with other people in a restaurant. Why are we so caught up on this? We both are grown adults. We have had roommates. What is your issue? Let me Google it.
I don't know. I just thought it would be an interesting topic because, like I said, when I was Googling roommates for articles, a lot of different types of roommates kind of came up that I wouldn't have even thought of as roommates. Like the hospital thing, I wouldn't have considered those people as roommates. I mean, yes, we may not talk about don't you knows for that, but I wouldn't have even thought of those roommates.
Well, some people have to stay in a hospital for a long time. I know that I'm lucky, and I think you're lucky to have not had to stay in a hospital for long enough to consider anybody there a roommate. But maybe some people are. Roommate, a person occupying the same room as another. North American, a person occupying the same apartment or house as another. For all intents and purposes, I'm counting dorms as apartments. Are we clear?
Okay then. Sure.
I sound like I'm like being really angry. I'm not really. I'm just excited.
He finished.
He's
excited to complain about his roommates.
I'm ready to step on the gas anymore. And you're stuck in the pre-flight check.
Oh. I gotta drag this out, Jacob, okay? Come
I
on.
Know, right?
Our passive ones have been kind of short.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Yeah, we better just pad it out with fluff. What are your experiences with roommates? How many different living situations
I have never lived
been
on
in?
My own.
You've never lived on your own, so you're quite experienced. I guess we could start, obviously, everyone grows up, well, I assume most people grow up in a home with a family, if you've got a nuclear family or whatever, or even divorced family, you still grow up with family. Do you count? I don't think that living with parents, I don't consider a parent a roommate. I think that's a parent.
Okay. What about siblings then?
Siblings, I think would count, but I still think childhood is a little weird. Maybe we should stick to adulthood living.
Okay then.
Is that fair?
Jacob's just like, we're not talking about hospitals. We're not talking about childhood. We're not
I think
he's narrowing it down. He has a certain idea in mind he wants to talk about. He's like, I want to focus only on college dorm. I have so much to say about that.
No, I've more to talk about outside of college than I do in college, honestly. Because I've also been a renter I've also been a rentee as well as a rentor. Wait, I've rented out as well as rented.
You were a renter.
I was landlord. Does that work?
There you go. Landlord. There you go. That works.
I just don't think that you can, like, move out of your mom and dad's house. I don't count that as renting. And you also don't pay money to go there. You're kind of obligated to be there, you know, until you're an adult. And then they might start charging you.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of the issues and dynamics of roommates still apply to family members as well.
They do. Okay, fine. Let's count them. What's your background?
Because, like, if anything, growing up as a kid, you have, like, less patience sometimes, I feel like, especially with your own family members, so even more stuff can...
You know, actually, now that I think about it, so I have actually always had my own room growing up. I was fortunate enough to. However, my two brothers have most of the time shared a room. They did growing up, and then when I moved out, they stopped. And then when they moved to a different house, they went back to sharing, and then they were apart again. And now they're apart, but live in the same house. I would say that would count, because seeing those two go through it, they are definitely roommates, 100%, and they have to share each other's privacy 24/7.
And see, when I was younger, me and my little brother closest to me in age used to share a room.
Yeah, I will say that counts.
Yeah, and then when my baby brother was born, we moved to a bigger house, and my baby brother and my other brother shared a room, and I had my own room.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the biggest things with roommates, when you're especially sharing the room, and actually, I think before I say this, I want to see, because I do have an article and it kind of mentions it, would you consider someone that you're in a relationship your roommate?
Yes.
Okay.
I definitely would.
Now that we established that. Okay, so I think the biggest thing, at least one of the biggest things when it comes to roommates and sharing a room, specifically, not just sharing a house, is snoring. It's like the biggest problem. My little brother used to snore, and I used to keep, like, stuffed animals by my bed. So if I I had to fall asleep before he did. Because if I didn't fall asleep before he did, I wouldn't fall asleep because he'll be snoring. If I woke up in the middle of the night, I couldn't fall back to sleep because of his snoring. So I would keep stuffed animals by my bed, so that way if I woke up in the middle of the night, I would throw a stuffed animal at him and be like, "Nick, you're snoring!" and then try to quickly go back to sleep before he fell asleep. So that way I didn't have to hear his snoring. And then funny. My roommate in college, I don't think she's listening, but my roommate in college, I told her she didn't snore, but she snored.
You lied.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't all the time, but it was a majority of the time. I usually slept through it. It wasn't that big of a deal. I guess by that point I was able to sleep through it, and it wasn't too loud, and we weren't sharing a bed. So I think it would have been a problem if we had shared a bed or something like that. If like bedmate was snoring.
I do think that lovers, though, because I have an aunt who says that my uncle snores, and she says that it puts her to sleep. Like, it makes her sleep better when she hears him snoring. So I think that you can't get used to that.
See, not completely true, because my grandma says my grandpa snores, and she says sometimes if he's snoring really, really bad, she can't sleep at all.
Oh, yeah. Huh. I guess your mileage may vary. Your snores may mean more.
But, I mean, I guess it could be true like that, too, because, like, I have to sleep with a fan on. I need that fan noise, and with California, sometimes, I don't know if it gets hot or whatever, and it just causes the power to go out temporarily sometime, and that will a lot of times when the power goes out, it wakes me up because my fan turns off, and for some reason it like jolts me out, and I'll be like, why did I wake up? And then I go to try to go back to sleep, and then I realize I can't fall asleep, and I'm like, what? And then that's when I realize the fan's not on.
Yeah, my mom is the same way. She's what she calls a motor baby. She's got to have the motor running, or an AC or something.
Huh, that's interesting. I like that concept. I'm gonna have to use it now. I'm a motor baby.
Or like white noise, like rain or whatever, will help as well. Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind having a little hum going, but I don't think I could really. I actually don't.
Have you had a roommate that snored?
Well, probably, but I can't really think of any that loudly.
So it obviously didn't affect you that bad.
Yeah, I just don't think it affects me because I can usually tune it out or whatever. Because I've also done
You're also a heavy sleeper.
I'm a pretty heavy sleeper, and I'm trying to think also because I've been a camp counselor before as well, and so we have like 20 people in a cabin. Somebody probably was snoring, probably a few of them, and I don't remember at all. So I probably got through it, and I would usually get into the cabin later because they'd let us leave the cabin.
Does that count as roommates?
Yeah, we were there for weeks at a time. You were definitely roommates. cabin mates. But that is a little different of a situation, though. That's an atypical living situation because you're on a magical mountain and you're riding horses and doing archery every day. Maybe that's life to some people. If so, hey, cool. Nice work. But,
yeah. I went camping, went to summer camp once. I don't remember if any of the girls I stayed in a room with snored. But also, at the same time, we were outside for so long and we were doing all these different things. I probably, slept like a rock. It didn't even matter.
Oh, yeah. All right, don't you know, you have to have an agreement on tidiness. Have you ever had a very messy roommate?
If we decide family members are
Yes, that'll count.
Yeah, then yeah. I think it actually, speaking of tidiness, one of my articles is kind of about that. So, but yeah, I've had roommates where they weren't tidy, and then, I'm also, I'm tidy when it comes down to share spaces, and that's where I believe is, don't you know, if there's any, shared spaces, you definitely should be tidy.
Yes,
you should clean
I
up
agree.
after yourself. And, if it comes down to, with me personally, if we all have different rooms, I don't care how messy your room is, honestly. As long as it's not attracting, bugs throughout the whole house, I don't care if your room's messy.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
My room's messy. And I'll go through and I'll clean it because it drives me crazy every once in a while. But my room usually, it will be kind of messy.
If you and your roommate have an equal level of messiness, or your tolerance of messiness overlaps, I think that can work. As long as you're not enablers and you're both living in a pigsty like those hoarder brothers I read about in New York or whatever. I mean, you should always kind of clean up after yourself or whatever, but you have to have someone you're compatible with, you know? Or an agreement that if they're naturally messy, you have to say, hey, we're gonna have to clean up on Tuesdays or whatever, something like that. And that's always awkward, but that's part of having roommates, is being able to talk about things. And but as far as the shared space, you should definitely tidy up after yourself if there's a shared space, especially with a bunch of different people. In dorms at college, we'd have 4 people sharing one shared space, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
That's important.
I guess, that's a perfect kind of goes with this article, so maybe we should just go ahead and do this article then, since it goes on based off kind of what you... So it's, the article is from Vice.com. I kind of get my articles from Vice.com, Psychology Today, and then I think Google
Vice.
Scholar. Why? Is that a bad web? I don't know.
Vice is
I can look for
I
other
don't think
places.
they're as smart as they want us to believe they are. Vice is
That's why I'm very
BuzzFeed.
careful. I pick things that kind of are that I know.
It might be good.
Are
It
more
might be good.
supplement. More supplement to don't you know?
Yeah.
So for Vice, it's called Psychologists Told Us How to Live with Another Human for the First Time by Beckett Mufson.
Beckett Mufson.
Sorry. Okay.
That's my best attempt.
So yeah, and and then underneath it says, basically, don't be nasty.
Yeah.
So it talks about how one of the best ways to see if 2 people would be good roommates, if they would be able to not have tons and tons of problem, is based off of their let's see, where is it at? Is to see what their differences in conscientiousness, I can't pronounce this word, god dang it.
Conscientiousness? Conscientiousness. Conscientiousness. It's being conscious of somebody else. Conscientious.
No. Not of someone else. This is one of the big 5 personality traits. What it is when a person is very conscientious. I'm not pronouncing this word right.
It's very
so sorry for guys.
Conscientious. It's the quality of wishing to do one's work or duty well and thoroughly. Conscientiousness. That is a hard one.
Yeah. When a person is very, they have high self-discipline, they need a plan, they keep organized, they're motivated by achievements, and I'm just reading off the list right here, so I'm not saying it off the top of my head. And the person who is less is more laid back and less reliable. So Jacob. Along the lines of laid back. And as you can see, just reading off these personality kind of somewhat traits kind of that go with this, you can already kind of see why big differences in that personality trait could cause problems. And so they say that people who are on the same level. It goes towards, like, the reason why it's important is because it goes towards their attitude towards cleanliness and discipline, which are big problems when it comes down to doing roommates. Because if one person's super clean and one's super messy, that's going to cause problems. If one person is more like discipline or whatever in such the way that they have certain time schedules that they have to do, and you have one person who's not, who doesn't really care, they can cause problems. Like, hey, we need the TV off at this time, and then the person's blurring the TV or whatever.
Oh yeah, and that's a good one, is leaving TVs on and electronics. But I was also thinking when you go to bed is a big issue too. If you get somebody who goes to bed at like 10 p.m. and gets up at 6 a.m., and it could go either way, because he could be really loud getting up and wake up the guy who goes to sleep at 2 a.m. and wakes up at 10 and still needs his sleep, mind you. They're both getting 8 hours of sleep, but they're just moved, you know? And if the one's waking up the other, it's not going to end well.
Yeah. And see, that's kind of like how I am. Because I get up really early. I also go to bed really early. Luckily my fan tends to drown out all their noises, but, I don't know. I feel like waking someone up early is not as bad. Like, from, like, if they say they went to bed at 2 and the person gets up at 6 and they don't have to get up until 10, that's still, like, even if they were to get up, they leave the house, so there's still, like, 4 hours left for them to sleep in. It's not as bad as, like, this person's up until 2 and, like, you say you have to get up at, like, 4 or whatever. That's, like, you're only getting, like, 2 hours of sleep. They're loud that whole time.
Yeah. And no, what I mean is, like, as long as they're courteous or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, courteous is a big thing. But yeah, it comes down to discipline, though, too, because if this person, like, comes in and out at all different hours, but yet you have, like, a set time that you're sleeping, and then you get that thrown off, like, you wake up at a certain time or whatever because the person comes in, but you have a high discipline, so you're supposed to be asleep during that time. Of course, that's going to cause problems, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's what, so it was talking about, like, this, High Point University. They work to keep, they actually, like, do surveys and, like, a really intensive survey on conscientiousness and to try to get people with similar, levels to roommate. They talk about, though, the only problem is that a lot of people try to use the Big 5 personality test, which isn't very reliable, especially with women.
Oh, isn't it?
Yeah, it says, the free Big 5 personality test, it says the results can be unreliable, especially for women.
Weird. Yeah, because I've seen people say, now I like Myers-Briggs type indicator, and Myers-Briggs, I just really like it. I've heard a lot of people say it's like pseudoscience, and it's they say it's horoscopes for people who think they're too smart for horoscopes. But I've heard people say that Myers-Briggs isn't good, and instead you should do the Big 5. So that's weird that this one's saying the Big 5 isn't bad.
Well, here's the thing, is that they say that the Big 5 is still important to use for roommates because it can show huge personality difference, at least. It might not pick up the different, like, small differences between because one of the 5 traits is conscientiousness, which is what we're talking about is key for good roommate relationships.
Right. Also, I just realized that it says it can be unreliable, not that it is unreliable. I thought it was putting it down, but it's just saying it can be. And then it's got a link, saying that some of the results can be unintentionally sexist, so be careful for that. But it's not saying that it's a bad test, just that you got to be careful with it. As with anything, you know. Type indicators and personality tests can only really tell you so much because you're going to answer it how you want to or whatever. So,
yeah,
your mileage may vary.
It also talks about doing, it's important to do more than just the Big 5 personality test. But you should also look into hobbies and stuff like that, because that can cause issues too.
Yeah,
if someone's like more interested in like Greek life, but yet you're interested in like studying or something like that, that's not, it doesn't build a lot of common grounds.
Yeah. Religion can be a big one as well. If you've got somebody you've got incompatible religions, whatever that may mean, take that however you want. Then it might not work out. It's worth asking. And obviously you don't want to like be prejudiced against anybody, but if they're like, or whatever they are, you're just incompatible, it's going to be sparks regardless of prejudice or not, you know, so it's still worth talking and they'll probably understand or whatever.
And then it also goes in to talk about different tools that you can use to, when you do have conflicts between roommates. And this is according to Dr. Amy Canavillo, so a psychology professor, who, so she found that 4 tools, is to talk about problems right away. So don't you know, so these are pretty good ones. So like if you're having problems with roommates, these are some tools that you can use. So talk about the problem right away. View the problems as affecting a relationship. So don't view it as only one side or the other. Kind of view it like as this situation, it's both of our responsibility to fix because it involves our relationship, kind of thing.
Don't talk about how are you affecting me. Say how are you affecting our roommate situation.
Yeah. It says to really listen when the other person's talking, which is a really big thing with like communication in general. I feel like it doesn't only apply to like when you have an issue with the roommate, but anytime you meet someone or anything like that, it's always to listen to what the person's saying and not think about what you're going to say as soon as that person stops talking. And then the last tool is when you talk about talk about feelings with I statements. So instead of saying, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this, say stuff kind of like, it makes me feel like this or whatever. Because when you do it that way, you make yourself more vulnerable along with not making your roommate feel defensive because you're attacking their action.
If they get defensive, if you're getting argumentative, you're not making progress, usually. Sometimes you need to ego up or whatever. I don't really know. I feel like, honestly, try and keep emotions out of it as much as you can and try and be professional in a roommate situation. Think of it like, I think you should try and be professional as a roommate because it is kind of more of a professional engagement than anything. And so if emotions get too high, I think that can stress things out and can make things a little more radical as far as reactions to stuff. So try and keep level-headed. If you feel like things are getting a little crazy, that can be really stressful, especially when you know you have to go to sleep near this person, you know. Don't make your roommate hate you. Don't make your roommate consider killing you. That's bad. But yeah, openness and communication for sure.
Yeah. Okay, and then let's do this last article real quick, just so we can get it out of the way, and it's just a really short one, and it's also another reason why I asked you about would you consider a partner a roommate, because this article talks about before, like, becoming roommates with your significant other, whether it be, like, before marriage or whatever, and how it talks about how it's a big decision to decide to move in with someone, and how a lot of people don't treat it as such. Like, they kind of are just like, okay, we're just gonna move in, kind of thing, but they don't. But this is talks about how what you should do before you even think about becoming roommates.
Mm-hmm.
So, one is talk. So, it says to talk about feelings, expectations when living with together. So, talk about subjects from, like, marriage, kids, life goals, stuff like that. Who's going to take out the garbage and feed the cat? As an example, it says, I didn't even say what this article's about. It's called, it's on Psychology Today. It's called, Would You Be My ... Roommate, and it's by PT Staff. I'm wondering if that's like a whole staff thing or whatever. Anyways, so the next thing that they say you should do is talk about finance. So they say they don't recommend combining accounts just yet. So with finance, saying keep your money separate, and it says it removes any potential like conflict that you can have while adjusting to being in the same living situation.
Yeah.
And it also you get a chance to kind of see if your financial style is compatible with their financial status before going ahead and just putting it together. And it says, the best thing to do is really to do like a test the waters kind of thing, like have one person stay like a few days or whatever, but keep like a week or two, like stay a week or two and then like kind of separate or whatever.
Yeah, test it
out.
Go
to
your
your separate places. So, which I feel like people naturally start to do,
Yeah.
It comes to the point where you start to leave stuff over at other people's house and then like,
yeah.
Eventually you're like, wait a second, I'm living here, aren't I? Which I guess that's what it's talking about, is how like people kind of don't like treat it as a big of a decision as it is. It should be.
Yeah, no, for real, it really is a big decision. And I think that, I think it is easier for a married, or not a married couple, but like a romantic couple to move in. I don't feel like marriage is the traditional roommates. I don't really think of, I know I did say I count them, but only as technicality. Because I feel like by the time you're moving in, you pretty much know what the other person's like. You spend enough time together. I mean, you have a pretty good idea. But I've never thought of doing a trial cohabitation, as it says, for somebody that I was going to be a roommate with.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is more toward, this article is more towards couples. It's not really...
But what I'm saying is that it's also a very good idea if you were to, like, have a buddy and he's like, hey, do you want to rent out your place? And you say, Yeah, I could. What if you come over for like a week and we try it out and you stay in the room, act like you're living here, and then we'll decide. And we'll have, I think that's a fantastic idea.
It is. It might not be very doable all the time because
Maybe
if
not.
you're trying to find a place, you might not have the option to do like a trial period. You need a place.
Pay for a week, you get a week. I don't know.
Yeah, but then if it doesn't work out, then where are you going?
I don't know. You use that whole week to, yeah, that is kind of tough.
Living on the street until you find it.
Yeah, right?
Because like
Better
for
make
me,
it work,
I
eh?
can't do because like not only that, but say you and another person are roommates and you go find a place. Now both your names on the lease, you can't do a trial period. Like if me and my dad were to get a place, both of our names would be like on the lease kind of thing. So there wouldn't be any trial period.
I mean, you might be able to
Don't
talk to
have
your
a choice.
leasing agent and just see what they say. Say, hey, we want to test this out, see how it goes. And they'll probably be like, hey, that's a great idea. We wish more people would do that before they start smashing holes in our walls, you know?
Yeah, that's not see, housing here in California is very limited, so it's already kind of hard to find housing. So I'm pretty sure they just move on to the next person and be like, hey, we want to do a trial run. Oh, next person, this person actually will pay and do 12 months. Because like a lot of times, like they straight up, in a lot of times in the description of a lot of these places, they say only 12 months leasing.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna do a trial run if they're straight up telling you 12 months leasing only. Have deposit ready on upon signature of lease.
Yeah, it's a little more rigid. Whereas mine was like renting a home that a guy knew. I actually was like driving down the street and saw my landlord. Did you? I don't know if you remember, Trey.
I remember his name, but I don't know if I met him, and if I did, it was probably only briefly, so I don't really remember him.
It is tall, skinny guy. He's pretty cool. He reminds me of like a younger version of my grandpa. He's just real hard working.
I've never met your grandpa, so I don't know.
Yeah, well. Anyway, I was driving down and I saw him and I stopped the car and I turned around and I was like, hey. And he was like, hey. And like he showed me he's got like a big old fish farm kind of thing. It's pretty cool. But my point is he's a lot more low key. And there was like, if I was to say, hey, could I try? He might be more open to that. You got to check whatever your situation is. What about, so we're assuming so far that siblings, you don't really pick them. That picking your roommates versus getting a random roommate. And so I know you're saying all I want to talk about is college, but it is a big one. You don't get to pick your first roommate unless I did not.
I didn't either, but a lot of people can. They can put down, if they knew someone was going, they can put down thing. And actually that is one of my don't you know, was that someone was telling me that when you go to college and you have like your best friend that goes to college with you, not to be roommates with your best friend.
That's a good idea too, because you could get the experience of having a new roommate, a random stranger, separately and talk about that. You'll have a lot to talk about or whatever. That could keep your friendship really strong versus kind of getting tired of them and meeting other people and then drifting away. Because you're inevitably going to meet other people in college, too.
Yeah, they say, well, one of the biggest reasons, and the reason why a lot of people were saying that is because when you not, kind of like with this, you don't know how your personalities will react when you guys are in close quarters all the time. And so they say don't be roommates with your best friend because you know that your friendship works outside of living together. You guys are best friends, it works. Then you add in the whole actually living together where you have all these whole new issues that can possibly come up. And a lot of friendships are destroyed when they would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah.
If they hadn't been roommates.
On the other hand, maybe you're listening to this and you're like, me and my best friend are going to college and we're totally going to be roommates and it's going to be awesome. And then it is, hey, more power to you.
Yeah.
But what about if you don't know him? Have you ever had a terrible roommate? You don't have to name names. I won't.
I haven't had very many friends. I mean, I have roommates, so I haven't had very many friends either. But
I was going to hold my tongue. It makes a little hard.
I haven't had very many roommates, so
When I moved into college, I got the random lottery and apparently got the weirdest kid in the world. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Was he the same roommate, your same roommate in, like, when I met you? Oh, yeah! No. I only knew your roommate from sophomore year.
Yeah, because I moved out. So my freshman year, I don't think we knew each other. Or, no, you only met me second year. No, I was already moved out.
Yeah, I did meet you freshman year, but we didn't actually become closer friends until the summer. I had the same roommate from freshman year all the way to senior year of college.
Nice. So, I got this guy, and he was like, oh goodness, where do I start?
I don't know who that is, I don't think.
Well, to a lot of people, if I went up to them and I said this name, they would say, "That was your roommate? Oh, I'm so sorry." Because he was so bad and he was so weird and he was super messy. Now, this is one of those ones where messiness is a big thing. My room I've literally got 2 pairs of shoes and some clothes and VR equipment around. So I was being lazy and I was folding laundry. Anyway,
And you live by yourself, because I'm pretty sure some of that stuff wouldn't be there if you had a shared space anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And my point is, I can be a little messy, but generally I'm fairly tidy. Another thing was that I was in a new space, and I had the potential to keep it clean, so I was gonna try, dang it. Well, this guy didn't try. There was stuff everywhere. Like, all his laundry, like, not even in a pile, just everywhere. Just backpack stuff, and pens, and pencils, and college stuff. And I would literally walk in, and he was on one side and I was on the other. And I would literally, like, maintain a line down the center of the room of all his crap. And it would be, like, nice, neat carpet, and then stuff. They were don't you know, don't leave moldy to-go containers in the room. I said this on a previous podcast.
I was going to say you said on a previous podcast, by the way.
This is the guy. He popped one of those fireworks that you can, like, pull the string and they, like, pop out, like the confetti cannon things? They're not fireworks.
Uh-huh.
I was, like, taking a nap and he pulled one of those by my ear. And I was livid. I went straight down to the RA and I was, like, gonna get a thing and I got talked down. And he was like, just try and keep it going a little longer. I was like, whatever. He's like, no more poppers. And we ended up mellowing out a little bit. We kind of managed, but I still decided it would be more fun to move into the other dorm with my good friends that I was hanging out with and staying over at anyway.
I think I probably helped this person move in, because my sophomore year I did the bear mover thing.
You probably did then. We were in Robert's
Because
Hall.
I remember there was this one person that we helped moved in, and they didn't, you know, when you move somewhere, you pack your stuff in boxes and all this stuff, so people are just grabbing boxes and moving your stuff in. This person had, like, baskets and, like, shoes everywhere, and, like, there was no organization. So basically we just grabbed, like, stuff out of the car and
That's so
put
awkward.
it into the room.
I
It was
am
like
touching all your stuff.
Yeah, it was like
That could have been him. Anyway, I don't know what my story was or what my don't you know you might get a bad roommate. You're gonna have to tough it out. You're gonna have to learn to deal with it, and then you're gonna have to move out if you need.
move to a different
Make friends, stay over at their dorms. They probably don't mind. They're probably having fun. But yeah, worst roommates. Oh, bad roommates are bad. They're really bad.
Yeah. My roommate was pretty good. Come senior year, freshman year we got close. We had, like, this kind of big group. And then come down to senior year, our group was a lot smaller because 2 of them was, like, RAs. One of them went to a different, dropped out. And so it got down from, like, we had, like, 6 people, and it dropped down to, like, 4. And, so we all ended up getting a place together, but it was originally only going to be me and 2 other people, and then the other girl kind of decided to join us. Yeah. My original roommate, my freshman year, decided to join us our junior year.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just inserted herself into our next year living arrangements. And it wasn't like she's, there's no big issues with her. She's clean and stuff like that. The issue came down to, kind of like one of the topics we were talking about, came down to hobbies and stuff like that. Because it was our senior year. We wanted to relax. We wanted to drink. We wanted to party and stuff like that. Yeah. Go out late. But she didn't do any of that. So, my junior year, I lived on the first, with her, we lived on the first floor, and the other 2 lived on the 3rd floor. So anytime we went out or whatever, they would meet up at our floor to leave whatever they needed to, their keys or whatever. And then when we would come back, of course, we'd stop by there so that they can get their stuff to go up.
Yeah,
there's no reason for us to go up to the 3rd floor.
Yeah, you're not going to go up to go back down. They're just going to come down because they got to go up anyway. It makes total sense.
Yeah, and so she had, one of the times she had, like, sent a text message saying, can you please keep it down? I'm trying to sleep. And so we were like, okay, so, yes, she lives there, and we were loud, we were drunk, whatever.
Yeah,
so it makes sense,
it's a fair ask, but within reason,
Yeah, but our senior year, we wanted to drink and go, and we didn't want to have to worry about having to come home and be quiet.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't going to go out with us. She didn't go clubbing, she didn't drink, she didn't do any of that. And so that was one of our concerns, is that her difference in, like, her hobbies and stuff like that would cause problems with what we were planning on doing for our senior year. And because we thought that it was very, very awkward at the very beginning of the school year, because we were kind of like, it was like this tension, because we were like, she's going to say something, she's going to ruin it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it went by, it was fine, and she didn't say anything because we had already talked to her, which is the key, is talking to her. We told her, look, if you do live with us, this is what we want to do. And if you're going to have an issue with this, then you shouldn't live with us.
Yeah. And you got to think from her perspective, too, is she's also she's thinking, okay, I'm going to have to compromise, too. They're going to be loud, and I know that's going to happen, and I'm going to have to be tolerant of that. And so she was probably prepared to do that. And you also have to think that for her to go and meet 3 other people, random strangers now, as opposed to the ones that she had from last year, that's kind of a stressful thing, too. So it makes sense that she would want to stay with you 3.
So, and then we also had told her, because we were living off campus, it was going to be more expensive. So we're like, we're also living off campus. And
that's true.
She probably would have only had to worry about one person, maybe, depending on if she did decide to go to the apartments on campus, like we had lived our sophomore and junior year, then yeah, she would have the 3 other roommates. But if she had chose to just do like a dorm or something like that, she would have only had the one. So it's really important to do, to sit down and talk. And even though it's awkward, it does need to be done. And
yeah, for sure.
Just the same way with like the couples, because like we knew each other, so we sat down and talked. And the same way with couples, before you live together, sit down and talk and make sure, that kind of stuff is. And you already kind of know where your personalities would kind of conflict. So those are issues that you already know probably will come up. It's important to talk about them beforehand.
Right.
Even if it's awkward, even if it makes it living awkward at first, at least it saves those issues, because it's not quite the same when you live off campus. It's not quite the same as going to your RA and complaining and changing roommates.
Yeah, that's way more awkward.
Like you were doing.
In the heat of the moment.
Because when you live off campus, there is no roommate. You're stuck with each other.
Yeah, that's true too.
I mean, there is no RA.
Yeah.
You're stuck with each other.
And that's another thing too, is especially if you have a lease or something and they have the legal right to be there. It can be very... I'm trying to segue into my most recent living arrangement. After college, I think is kind of a big time too, because you're no longer with parents. I mean, you could go back, I guess. But for me, I was out of mom and dad's home and out of college, and I was officially on my own. And in order to help pay the bills, and because my friend needed a place, we decided to share a place. And that's my good friend Joelle. And we had to go through a lot of the same sort of stuff as well. But for us, we already knew each other.
I can't get over his new look with the hair. I've seen like every once in a while I see a picture on him on Facebook, and I'm just like, that's not Joelle.
Sally wants him to cut it. And he says she's jealous
agree with Sally.
because his is longer than hers, and she says it's not longer than hers. And I have no opinion because I'm not really interested in whose is longer. Kind of funny. But anyway,
I agree with Sally. He should cut it.
Not the opinions of don't you know? Anyway,
I'm okay with long hair, but like not when it's like going down, touching the shoulder. I think it's too long. Anyway, so go ahead. Sorry, I was thinking about my brothers, because my brothers a lot of times will be like, my hair's too long, and they cut it, and I'm just kind of like, your hair's not long. It's not touching your shoulder. You're okay. They're like, no, it's too long.
I have a don't you know. Don't you know if you have... Okay, if one roommate has a date coming over and needs some privacy, I think it is bro code and a good friend's duty. One way or the other, I would do it for him, and he has done it for me, that you need to give him some space. Go out for a little bit, or at least go. So Joelle really took one for the team and went into the other room without air conditioning. He still had the Wi-Fi, so he was chilling out on his phone, but he had to go without air conditioning so I could watch a movie. It was very sweet of him, and I was always appreciative. And don't you know, you gotta look out for your bros if you're sharing a space, because, people like to have people over. You light some candles, and you have a nice dinner, and hold hands while watching a movie. It's very nice. And have you any experience with that? Have you ever had to vacate the premises for a friend? You're like, nah, me and my friends we weren't interested in boys. That insinuates you're interested in girls, but that's not what I mean.
I think...
You're too busy studying.
Yeah. We've only ever had like an issue kind of towards that once.
Ooh,
and
I remember
it wasn't a big deal. Yeah, it wasn't a big deal at first. It was when it got to be the point where they basically were living with us for like a couple weeks.
That's a little different.
That's different. And we particularly didn't like the guy either. So that was the issue.
Yeah, so there's a difference between like...
But that's the only time I've had that kind of issue going on. I agree with you, like, make yourself kind of like scarce, but I think it's also like a difference between wanting to have a date over versus like
having dates over all the time, every time.
Yeah, that, or like basically if you want to have like a date over, fine, but like don't make me like be kicked out of my house like all night. I had to go find somewhere else to sleep kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, that's not fair because that's not... I'm talking a few hours, so...
Which is not what happened. That's not what happened.
Right.
But, well, actually, I think I did end up staying somewhere else. I think I ended up staying at your place because it got so bad. But I think I stayed at your place one at a time. Yeah, you have once or twice. Because it got so bad.
I just didn't know why.
But,
so you're coming to hang out. I was like, yeah, sure.
So, no, I think one of the times I did come over was because of that. But that's not what, in particular, why I was saying that. I'm saying, like, if I would ever get another place. So you didn't just want to hang out. Get all sad. Like, no, 6 years later. I can hang out with you anytime I want, but I don't need to stay over at your place where it's not like anywhere, because you never really had like separate rooms or anything like that. So it was like
I just sleep on the floor.
So it wasn't like, it's different if you had like, now I go over to your house, you have like a guest room or whatever. Yeah. Hey, I stayed at your house when we came down for like homecoming or whatever. So, to hang out with you. Just, of course. Not during that time while we were in school, because I had my own room. What did I need to
Yeah.
spend the night to hang out with you?
What do you need to spend money on a hotel room for when you got Jake's couch? No, I'm just teasing. No, for real, couch surfing's awesome.
Yeah, so the whole, like, finding a different place to sleep, that's not in regards to that incident that happened, but just in, like, it was making me think, because you were like, oh, vacate the premises kind of thing. That's what made me think about it. Like, I don't mind, like, okay, you're gonna have your date night. Okay, well, I'll go, like, hang out with my brothers or something. We'll go, like, to the movies or whatever. But, like, don't expect me to be like, nope, you gotta go find somewhere else to sleep. Because I think that sometimes happens. Like, some people do that where they're like, you know, I'm gonna have this girl or guy over or whatever, and
and hey, maybe you're like that. Here. Maybe you two are close and you wouldn't mind camping out too. It all depends on who you are. As anything, it depends. Always applies.
I guess it depends.
But it would be rude to expect that of somebody, is what we're saying.
Yeah. So, and I think, and like you said, it does depend. Like, say one of them is single, like, where are you going to stay? Like, maybe a friend's place. But like, if you were both dating someone, then maybe, yeah. I'm not staying in my car. I don't care how close of a friend you are. I'm not staying in my car down in California, in Los Angeles area for someone so they can get some. Not happening.
Yeah, no, that's a little dangerous.
And, like, not legal here either, so you could get in a lot of trouble, so.
Right. I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
I thought I didn't have to live in a home. I could live in my car.
I mean, hey, so the Cowboys
It's free,
did it.
I paid it off already.
Cowboys just make campfire, sleep in the floor.
So the last thing I have, which, I mean, I had one talking about sharing chores, but that was just kind of like something I threw in there. There's not really much on that. I think you guys should share, don't you know you should share chores?
Yeah, so I guess some people would probably need to be more regimental about chores, like, oh, you do it this day, I'll do it this way, or whatever. But I've never had that. I guess it goes into
if you're clean or not. Because, like, you have tidying, so if everyone's cleaning up after themselves, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. If they're not, that's when things can start to get dicey, when you start and you're like, hey, do you mind cleaning up this bowl or whatever? Or can you stop leaving this sponge in the sink or whatever?
Yeah. Well, but it also depends on how tidy of a person you are. Like, for us, like me and my, like, all my roommates in college, what they came down to, like, garbage. It was kind of like, it's full, you take it out kind of thing. That was...
Yeah, and that's what I was going to get at.
Tidy like that.
Is where it's a little more, it just kind of runs itself. You see something that needs to be done, so you do it, because you're an adult.
So, but you come across, like, problems or, like, little things that...
Anyways, or the bystander effects. Everyone expects the next person will do it, or somebody will take care of it, and then nobody does.
Yeah.
Somebody will take the garbage out. Nope, no garbage out this week.
So, because, like, that's a problem at my grandpa's, because there's so many people that live there.
To the curb, I mean.
That there's a lot of times, like, dishes are piled up or whatever, because not everyone picks up after themselves. And so at that point, it's almost like they need to have assigned chores, because stuff doesn't get done, because they just expect the bystander effect. There's so many people living there, they just expect one of the other people will do it because that's not their mess, so they're not going to do it.
And dishes are different too, because it's like you can like cleaning a bathroom or cleaning bathrooms is kind of its own topic, isn't it? Like cleaning a bathroom, there's only one thing to do, you know, versus like if you're doing dishes, you are always, if you're in a shared space, you're probably washing other people's dishes too. That you're probably washing dishes you didn't make. And so you don't want to do that every time because it's not really fair. But you like, it's, I don't know. You kind of just gotta, sometimes you gotta wash your roommate's dishes and sometimes they'll wash yours. And if you both just kind of keep going, oh, thanks for doing that, you're good.
And so with the problem with my grandpa, there's a lot of people who live there, but there's also a lot of people that they don't live there, but they always come over and they're always like there. They're basically living there. So if they do, if they have like some type of dishes, basically they're like a guest, so they don't feel like they have to do their own dishes.
Yeah,
and
here
then
on
of course
the East
grandpa
Coast, we call those freeloaders.
And then with my grandpa, of course, he can't do his own dishes. He does not.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't walk or anything like that.
Well, yeah, he gets a pass. I mean, come on, let's be real. He's allowed to not do his dishes. That's what y'all are for.
Yeah, and so that leads to, piling of dishes and stuff like that. And that comes down, and since the people that actually live there, it's like, well, I didn't do those dishes, so why should I have to clean? And so it leads to all these issues. So when it's a lot of people, like sometimes, depending on the cleanliness or whatever, your situation, sometimes it does involve sharing chores. But that is definitely a talk that should be sit down and discussed beforehand, probably. Okay, so my actual discussion that I wanted to do, though.
Okay.
Which I think it's a very interesting one. Because it is something that kind of... So, don't you know, always ask before you borrow something or use something of your roommates.
Oh, yeah.
But there's always kind of like these little jokes that you have in movies and TV shows going towards what is okay to share. Because you have like jokes where maybe someone like shares a toothbrush and everyone's like, oh, why did
Gross.
you do, kind of thing. Like, so at what is okay? Like, where do you draw the line on sharing of things?
I've always thought, okay, so I'll start on what is totally good to share. I think sharing laundry detergent is good. Although laundry detergent and like dishwasher detergent for sure, because there's only one dishwasher. Laundry, it can go either way. Some people want one thing. I've lived in a house where I would share laundry detergent with one roommate, but not the other. And just because we knew each other better and we came into the house together and we'd always been sharing the stuff or whatever. There's also been a time where you're doing a laundromat too, so that's kind of dicey. But I think, and you don't have to discuss it. Don't just start using their thing and not realizing it. But like, those are stuff that's kind of low cost and just going to get used and you don't want to have two of them there or whatever. So just, you buy a bulk and you share it and then you kind of go back and forth on who's buying it or whatever. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I guess I never realized it, because when my senior year, we actually had a washer and dryer inside of our unit, and we all had our own laundry detergent. We just kind of kept it with our clothes. We'd just bring it out over when we did laundry and then put it back in our room. So I guess I never really even thought about sharing laundry.
It's probably easier just to do your own, because you'll be doing that as on your own anyway. So that's probably better.
Yeah, because it's not like we're doing that much laundry, so... Like, you're not getting this big giant jug of laundry detergent that's like a hassle to jug around anyway.
Yeah, I don't do laundry that much either. I have clean clothes, I just have a lot of them, so I don't do it that often.
Well, you only need to do it like once a week or twice a week.
Exactly.
Every 2 weeks, so it doesn't need to be...
Yeah.
Like, 'cause sometimes I can go 2 weeks without laundry. I don't like to, because then I have to do 2 loads of laundry, but...
Yeah. No, I mean, that's normally how I do it. But regardless, I think that's an okay thing to share. As far as food goes, I was living in a house where this house, we had shared food, but we would have, it was we don't really share too much food. We would have some stuff like condiments and things like that, like sauces, but not even all the sauces. Like, he'd have a barbecue sauce, Joelle would have a barbecue sauce that I wouldn't touch, and I'd have my own or whatever. But like, if we needed flour or sugar, that's fine. I had somebody who somebody else was talking about, they say that staples are kind of shared, and that even like rent could even pay for that just to keep eggs and milk and stuff in the house. But then like personal food would have its own shelf, or had like a line drawn down the middle where don't touch my Go-Gurt or I'll kill you. I'll send you to the moon. All right, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Just don't touch my pickles. And then of course you could ask, hey, you might have had a pickle? Yeah, sure, you have a pickle. Cool.
So food, sharing, and that's one to talk about, though, once again. All about communications. You gotta talk about it.
Yeah.
You can't, you have to be like, hey, don't touch this kind of thing. Like, especially if you're okay with sharing whatever, like if you got pickles or whatever, and you're usually okay with sharing stuff, then definitely when there's certain things that you're not okay with sharing, well, you should definitely talk about it.
Now, sometimes I would have where a previous roommate would let me know, hey, you had a pack of burritos. I was starving. I had one. I'm going to buy you a pack. Okay, that's fine. You buy me a pack. Now, if you eat the last one, I think that's different because they might want that last one, really be looking forward to it, and that might not be bad. But I think that if you say, "Hey,
don't eat the last one," that's okay. That's where the line is drawn.
Yeah. But and obviously replenish if you take something without asking. But I would say just ask first. Be like, "Hey, can I have a text or something or whatever?" But I wasn't that bothered. I knew this person. We were very friendly, and he knew I didn't mind. That's the only reason he did it. So I think that's fine. But again, you have to have that understanding. A friend of mine was living with some people, and they would throw her food out without asking, and that's not good communication because she's like, well, I'm going hungry tonight because that was my dinner. And I'm like, dang, that's not cool at all. That is not cool. Like, don't go throwing people's stuff out. If you're going to clean out the fridge, like, try and do it together and say, hey, this is past date. I'm tossing it.
I think also there should be, that's something you should talk about beforehand. Like, hey, don't leave food in here for, like, over a week kind of thing. Or else it'll get tossed kind of thing. Like,
or fridge cleanouts Tuesdays. That's a good one.
We didn't usually, when we shared a fridge, we didn't really have that issue because we were, I don't remember having any issues where a roommate was eating my food or stuff was getting left in there for too long. But I was thinking more along the lines, I think it's funnier to talk about things that are not okay to share. Because, like I said, you have, like, a lot of videos and stuff, like movies and stuff like that do jokes based off of stuff that people would not consider to share. Like I said, like the toothbrush or...
Definitely not a toothbrush.
Where do you draw the line with, like, clothing? Is it okay to share clothing? Is it okay to share underwear? Like...
I do not share clothing. I've heard that girls do share clothes, and I thought that was absurd. Like, maybe if you're close, but I don't know. Well, then again, I have lent a shirt or something.
You wouldn't share, like, a t-shirt? Yeah.
No, I would, and I have, but... It's only like in a pinch. It's not like pants? An ongoing thing. Like, there's no way I'd have a roommate, like, rummaging through my clothes. Like, yo. But they might go, hey, I need a shirt. Can I borrow a shirt? And I'll be like, yeah, here you go. And I'll toss them one. But.
Okay. So you're okay with sharing clothes as long as asked.
Yeah, but not as like an ongoing thing because we both have our own clothes and we both have our own styles.
Well, yeah, not as a ongoing thing, obviously. I'm just saying, like, that's okay to share.
That's okay.
At what point do you draw the line with the clothes, though? You're not sharing underwear?
No, you can.
What about pants?
I'll share pants and you can free ball in them, but you're not going to share my underwear. That's too much. Don't really free ball them in too long. It would be like if you're on the way home, like go get some of your own underwear and then, but that's never really happened. Let's be real. That would be like at a pool party or something. Is like the only way I could think that'd happen.
Would you share a bathing suit?
Yeah, I would, because I don't think that's that big a deal. But. I don't know. Being a guy, we just jump in with whatever we're wearing.
Yeah, I know. My brothers, like, for the longest time, just always would... They don't even get bathing suits anymore. They usually will... If they go swimming, a lot of times they just wear, like, their boxers and basketball shorts.
Yeah.
But then they have, like, no clothes afterward. They have to wait till they dry, because they have no boxers and they have no pants.
I think toilet paper is good to share. That sounds really disgusting without clarification. I think buying a roll for the bathroom and, everybody. It would be stupid to have two separate rolls that one person uses, the other uses.
I think the biggest issues come from what's okay to share. It does come from the bathroom. So, toothbrush, I would say it's not okay to share. What about you?
I would share toothpaste, but toothpaste is so cheap. Just get your own. I mean,
toothbrush.
Toothbrush. Do not share a toothbrush.
Okay. And a lot of this is like, we're not talking about all the time. We're just saying, like, draw a line.
Even if your husband, wife, don't share a toothbrush. Come on. What are you doing? That's so gross.
I don't even share toothbrush with my brothers. I have tons of extra toothbrush if they ever come over and they need a toothbrush.
Yeah, no way.
I do not share a toothbrush.
That is tooth gunk. I'm a stickler about dental hygiene. I'm really particular about my mouth.
Okay, what about deodorant?
Deodorant? I have, like, borrowed and lent deodorant, but I wouldn't actively share it, and I always feel gross while I'm using it. But it's like, I think that if I was going to lend it out, I would like wipe the top with a napkin and hand it over. Be like, here you go. You're good to go. Because it gets wiped off. It's like shedding skin, you know? The same stuff that, the same sweaty pits that touch the top aren't touching the middle, you know?
Yeah. I'm the same way. Like, I've had where maybe I forgot a deodorant or something like that. And I've had to share with my mom. Or sometimes deodorant, you don't know when you had that last bit, and so you're like, oh, I have enough for one more day. I have to go to the store today to go get deodorant.
Yeah.
And you don't have enough for that last bit today.
Yeah, and it's like scratching you, and you're like, ah!
So, and I've seen my brother's like, will share deodorant like no problem whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
But for me, it's like, oh, okay, I'll have to share, but I don't particularly want to, but I have to.
Yeah, I don't really want to.
So that's like a kind of a towing the line kind of thing with some people who think it's totally okay and have no problem.
Because there's two people that need deodorant. Those that are prepared for the day and want to put it on before they start to sweat, or those that are sweaty and realize they stink. And usually if somebody's asking for deodorant, they're sweaty and realize they stink. And they're saving face. Because if they're prepared, well, I guess where you ran out, but if it's before the day, the prepared person probably hasn't run out. So you're probably sharing it with somebody who's sweaty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess with me, when it comes down to it, I've never had the issue where someone's really, really sweaty and need to borrow deodorant. It's always come down to either running out or you've gone on a trip and, like, you always forgetting stuff when you go on trips and stuff like that. Deodorant, toothpaste, phone charger.
Yeah, that is a good spot.
Like, these are all, like, essential stuff. But, and you would think, oh, I would never forget that. But, for some reason, like, even those most important stuff, you always forget. And then you're like, I have 2 pairs of shoes. And I didn't pack deodorant. What the heck? I'm only going to wear this 1 pair of shoes, but I have 2.
You can always buy deodorant, though, if you're really that bothered.
That's true, too. But if you're, like, in the morning, like, early in the morning, and you're going to put it on, and you're like...
or something, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, time. It's just downstairs in the lobby.
Oh, that's true. A lot of them have them in the lobbies. That's right. I forget about that,
I was talking about the business meeting was in the lobby, but they might sell deodorant, too. And some hotels, if you're staying at a hotel, you can even ask them. They'll do it as a service, depending on how fancy you are. You're like, oh, we'll send some right up. What scent? Would you like lavender or mint? I've never had a mint deodorant. Is that a thing?
I was gonna say, what?
You can lick my arms. That would be funny.
And now I have fresh breath too.
Just imagine that's like a commercial, and the guy's like sitting there, and he's like got his deodorant, and he wipes, and his hot girl comes by, and he realizes that he's like, his breath stinks. And he just like reaches down and licks his pit a little bit, and it's like minty fresh.
No.
Smell good too. That's pretty gross. Quick transition. I got one. So here's one thing that I've thought about, said I was going to do, didn't, and got lucky. When Joelle and Sally moved in with me, I told them, and we discussed, and we all thought it would be a good idea, that I draft up a lease. Even though we're all very good friends, we trust each other, and like I have 100% trust in those two because they're my friends, you know. But I still thought that it would be a good idea to get a lease, maybe to have for tax records or for officiality. If they say, "Oh, you're not really living here," or whatever. No, they are. They've signed a lease. Here we go. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to just have a lease.
Oh no, it's totally a good idea. With my mom, when we lived in Georgia at that one house, my mom didn't own it. My grandma did, but my mom they had to draw up like a lease kind of thing because in Georgia they're really strict about their affidavit, and so my mom couldn't say, "Hey, I was living here." She couldn't just show. I think even the utility bills like didn't even count. They needed like a lease with the person who owned the home saying that they were leasing to. And it's like, that's my mom. And it's like, well, no, we still need it was this big thing every year to do that. Yeah, I think that is really like a good thing to do. It does help protect you in a way, but it's also beneficial for that person so that they can, because you never know. Stuff can happen, and it's always good to have yourself protected, whether it be on your end or on their end, because, I mean, that you could easily be like, my new chick says they don't like you, so you gotta go.
Yeah, like the worst case scenario of having a lease is there's like no worst case scenario. You just have it. If you don't have it, there's like a lot of worst case scenarios. The landlord could change the locks, and then what are you going to say? He says, no, they're lying. All of this is my stuff. I've never seen these people. That would be like really bad. Like, I don't know how that person would sleep with themselves, but it could happen, and you should have nothing against it. And the other thing is, like, if the people that are renting the house, like, smash it up and then say, we're not liable, we never signed a lease, well, now you're out. So it could go either way, you know?
Yeah, and not that we would think your friends would do that or whatever, but it's
No,
still,
of course,
like, you never know. And
stuff happens. Stuff goes crazy.
Yeah, but like you said, it's also good on your part, like, even for close friends, because sometimes your word isn't enough. You do need some type of legal documents. So they might be like, hey, I do live here, and you could be like, yeah, I own the house. Look, I own the house. But they can still be like, well...
Yeah, and another thing is, like, and if you, like, even, like, if you ask and you're like, hey, do you mind if we just write up just a little lease and just sign something? And they go, whoa, and they start getting really sketchy, like, whoa, what? You don't trust me? Like, what? If they start doing that, like, that's a weird person. Like, anybody in their right minds would go, oh, yeah, I see where you're coming from. Sure, let's do it. It's a good idea. Anybody would do that. If they're weird about it, they're probably weird. And you may want to rethink living with them altogether because their ego is hurt now that you could want a legal document. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's way different than signing a prenup, you know? Like, if you go to your wife and you say, hey, you want to sign a prenup? She's like, what are you talking about? That's a little different. Although... some would say you should still sign that prenup. Like, come on, just in case. You never know.
Yeah, I know. That's like, I don't know. I feel like...
But you're not getting married to your roommate.
Yeah. Speaking of lease, like, signing agreements or whatever, it made me think about the Big Bang Theory, how they had the big giant roommate agreement.
Oh, what happened?
In Big Bang Theory, they have, like, between Sheldon and Leonard, they have, like, a really big, like, rental agreement. And so when Sheldon had Leonard move in... Leonard had to sign, like, all these different pages. It was stuff like, the thermostat will always be at this temperature. Any changes to furniture had to go through. I know, I'm not saying, like, that's what you should do. I'm just saying, like, it made me think about that when you're like, they should sign a lease. It's like, it made me think about the whole, like, I think it was, like, 20 pages rental agreement that they had going. And it had, like, one point where they were signing that says, if either of us builds a time machine, we would agree to meet at this point right now. And so he could sign it, and he was like looking, and you're like, oh, darn, that's disappointing. And then, there was one part where, and it gets brought up lots of different episodes. There's like one episode where he's like,
stuff?
At one point they do, because like Leonard gets like, he starts dating like this lawyer who kind of helps him out. But, there's at one point where they're like, he was like, it was something with girls, and he was like, that's against the rental agreement you signed. He was like, that's because I didn't think it would happen.
That's funny.
And yeah, so there's a lot of episodes where they bring up a rental agreement, and I think like rental agreement's okay, but if it's like a 20-page, then that's like if it's a Sheldon rental agreement, I say, that person's probably crazy. I wouldn't sign that.
Yeah, I definitely read the lease too and negotiate it too. You can't always negotiate a lease. And pro tip, if you're in a place and you start if you start feeling like your rent bill and financial situations, you can talk to your landlord and negotiate a rent refinancing. Sometimes they'll work with you because you're already moved in and they don't want to go through the hassle of redoing a lease. They might drop you $50 or $100 or something. And I read about that once. So pro tip.
Cool.
One last one. Speaking of TV references, if you ever got to argue about who gets to keep the apartment, using swords is a pretty good idea. No, actually, stay safe. That is not the illegal opinion.
I was thinking about that, about having, what do you do when you buy things? What do you do when you separate? When you're together, and you're like, and that's one of the things that, like, when you first start freshman year, and this is a good, don't you know, for, like, when you're freshman year, it's good, because they send you information about your roommate. Mm-hmm. It is good to not be like, well, let's ship in and get this together. Like, separate what you guys are all going to bring. Because that way, when you guys leave, you take it. So, like, I think my roommate got a refrigerator, and I agreed to get, like, a microwave and something else, I think.
Yeah, stuff like that.
And
that's
so
a good
that way, we'll share it, and we had already discussed that we would share it. That's not an issue. It was done so that way at the end of the year, I knew what I would be taking, and she knew what she would be taking.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Cool.
And I think that's it.
I think that's all.
And don't you know, my TV shows come first all the time.
All right, then I get to blare the music that I want.
As long as it's not country or Spanish music, go ahead, Jacob.
Spanish what music?
Spanish music.
Oh.
Period.
What about progressive rock with Latin influence? The Mars Volta. I love them.
I think
They're
we
so
have.
good.
I think a lot of our tastes are similar, Jacob. I think with dubstep and rock music and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of it's similar.
I'll send you some Mars Volta. They are fantastic.
Let's just stick to Fall of Troy.
I love Fall of Troy. Oh, my heart.
Okay, so you can catch us at. I'm not gonna say "Don't You Forget" because Jacob got on to me last episode about that.
Please remember to like and subscribe.
So, we would like if you guys would like and subscribe and follow. And if you want, you can send us a tweet at don'tyouknowpod or an email at don'tyouknowpod@gmail.com. I forgot the rest of the thing. And then, you can send us suggestions. You can send us your own Don't You Knows, regarding this episode or even other topics.
Yeah, you just think of one.
And you can
while
just
you're
give us
walking down the
feedbacks
road.
too.
Yeah, just send it. We could do a whole episode around your one Don't You Know. Wouldn't that make you feel special?
Jacob's just gonna completely, trash it. He's gonna,
what?
complete on insult. You
This is
insult
wrong.
every single type of topic.
This is so wrong.
Ever through this group.
Send them to the moon. Is this one of our fans? Can we get some higher IQ listeners?
Oh, dang, Jacob.
Man.
I want to get a sticker that says send him to the moon. Or maybe I'll do a
Send 'em
t-shirt design and
straight
do
to
send
the
to the moon.
moon.
Send to the. It'll be your birthday / Christmas present. It's going to be a t-shirt that says send him to the moon.
I love it.
Oh.
And if you look on your screen and it already says following or subscribed, we thank you again for being along for the ride.
Yeah. So until next time, guys. See ya.
See ya.